Hello, it's Nikki. How you doing? How's your week been? Thank you so much for being with me as always, and I'm really enjoying sharing this 3 episodes a week with you. I seem to have found a bit of a rhythm now, which has been great, and I've got some lovely support in place, and we're doing it. We're absolutely doing it. And I guess in these weird, funky times, I tell you what, a nice little task list, a to-do list, a bit of structure. I don't know about you, but it's really helping me. Anyway, if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. And also, if you ever listen to something and you go, do you know what, my pal, I think needs to hear this, would you mind sharing? That would be wonderful. Or if you haven't left a review, that would be greatly appreciated as well. Because the thing is, I want this podcast to go far and wide. The reason that I started this was that I felt really alone in my business journey when I first started out, and so now I am a bit further on. I'm able to share all these things with you. So if there is that other person who is in their kitchen thinking, I don't know what to do next, I don't know how to get more customers or clients, or I want to be doing that thing but I don't quite know how to get there, would you do me a favor and just share in your stories? That would be great. Anyway, on to today's content. It's a bit of a personal one. It's a bit of a topic that I don't really like talking about, certainly not on the internet, because I'm Northern and we're taught not to talk about these things, but I'm going to be talking about money. And already you might be thinking, right, I'm off. I don't want to hear this. What's she going to say? Oh my goodness. But if you haven't noticed already, I have become a bit more personal on this. And when I was thinking about my goals for 2021, aside from everything else that's going on in the world, one of the words that kept coming back to me was about impact and that ripple effect. And this has brought me to a place that I want to bring more honesty to my content. Now, that's not to say it's going to be all Piers Morgan, like, oh my goodness, you never guess what. But it's not going to be generic, sweeping, broad strokes anymore. A lot of the things that I can share, I have experienced myself. So if I am going through those moments, or if I have gone through it and I've been able to find a way, I want to bring a bit more of that flavor to the story. Because, you know, if you want to build a Facebook ad, for example, there are so many different experts in that. But because I'm talking about personal branding, I've really found that it isn't necessarily just about the strategy of get a website, go on social media, show up, become visible, etc. It's really about those nuances. It's about that mindset. It's about self-worth. It's about how do you continue to show up? What are your principles? What are your morals? What are you here for? What are you not? All of the things. Now, I'm sure this doesn't come as any surprise, but I really value my own personal development very, very highly. I spend a lot of money on it. I spend a lot of time. I'm always learning. And frankly, I am going to throw it out there. If you're working with a coach or an expert who says, no, I don't believe in that, or I haven't got the money for that right now, or it's not something that I need to do, I would always question that, because for me, it is absolutely integral for me that I stay sharp, that I stay on my game, that I am always shaking things up, that I'm pushing my own boundaries and frameworks out of the way. So when I am sharing what I'm working on, at the moment, so I'm working with a coach for a year, I'm actually coming to the end of this commitment. So I'm now in the mix of talking to new people about where I go next, which is very exciting, and probably another podcast episode. And there's also 2 courses which I'm working through as well that I purchased. So it's a lot. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. And sometimes when things are busy and my actual to-dos and my tasks and running a house and having 2 small children, there's a lot of things that require me before I even do anything for me in the day. You know, even getting children up, making sure everybody's fed and watered and dressed and clean and not damaging themselves in some kind of way by dangling off the sofa. You know the thing. But I want you to really question what you want to get out of this year and what support that you need. Because as I'm saying some of these things, you might go, yeah, this comes up a lot for me. Yeah, this is really sticky for me. This is a bit uncomfortable. And the temptation in that is to go, well, I bloody hate Nikki Raby for talking about this. She's so annoying. Why is she mentioning this? But what I want to say with full kindness is, if I ever say something to you where you go, ooh, that I'm not quite sure how I feel about that, take it as a little sign to have some time to go a bit deeper. So if I say the word money, for example, to start with, and bear in mind, I have been that person who's gone, don't talk to me about it, don't make me look at it, don't make me have a conversation about it, all of that stuff. If I get to a place where I can be open and I can look at it and go, ooh, what's this trying to tell me? Maybe I have a bit of discomfort here. What could that mean? And I go into that sort of beginner's mindset of exploring the situation. It's kind of like if you have a toddler. If a toddler is suddenly making a fuss about something, or, you know, we're all human beings, of course. If there's resistance there, or if their behavior is playing up or something like that, and I don't necessarily go into too much of this on the internet because my kids are not choosing to do that. But for example, if one of my kids is finding something tricky or difficult, I will always take the time to go, what is going on here? Why is this not happening? Or where do I need to ask more questions? So that was a very long-winded introduction. Let's get into today's content. I did a training at the beginning of the week with Denise Duffield Thomas, and she has a Chill and Prosper workshop at the moment out. And I really love her work. I've bought and read all her books. They are tools and resources that I come back to again and again. And I really feel like this for money, this money thing for me it's work that always needs to happen. And nobody ever spoke to me about this money mindset, what do I charge? Can I really do X, Y, and Z? Am I worthy of having what I want from my life? All of these things. Anyway, in her video series, she took us through an exercise where she was saying, when you think about your money and collecting money and being available to money, what is the container that you see? And immediately my brain went practical. And the first thing that came to mind was one of those plastic takeaway containers. You know, the ones that you get rice in or noodles or whatever. And usually, even though I would like to be eco-friendly and have the takeaway and then wash it up and then go, oh, I'll just keep using this again and again, I found the lid doesn't necessarily match the thing, and then I can't find the lid, and then I end up getting frustrated, and then there might be a crack in the box, so it doesn't really work anymore, or it's not safe, and you end up having to recycle it, or things like that. Also, I was really surprised when it came to mind, because I'm not really a plastic lover. I really try and not buy loads of plastic. I'm really aware of my plastic consumption. And also, a takeaway plastic box, it's not very aspirational, is it? It's quite cheap, it's disposable, and it's not very spacious. So if you can imagine what that looks like, it's really shallow. So you could get some coins in, but very quickly it would spill and it would not be contained in a lovely, luxurious way. And it was so interesting reading what other people had written. And some people were like, mine is a designer brown handbag, or mine is X, Y, and Z. And I was suddenly thinking, oh my goodness, maybe there is work for me to do here. There's work further for me to explore. And maybe there is for you. So I want you to, first of all, this is not, again, my exercise. I'm not going to take full credit for it. But go and check out this workshop. It'll be really interesting. I think it's still live at the moment. I want you to think about what came to mind. So as Denise was talking, she then said her container was a stadium. And immediately my piddly little takeaway box and her multi-millionaire status of a stadium, Wembley or whatever, I was thinking like, oh, okay, this is very different. There is a gap here. And whether you believe in this or not, there is something symbolic about this. So I decided there and then when I was going through this exercise, like, right, I've got to shift this. This takeaway box, I can't bear them in my own house. What does that say? Again, if I'm saying I can't bear these takeaway boxes, it frustrates me when I get them from takeaways. We don't actually get takeaways very often, but, I hate waste. I hate things coming into our house that don't really have a purpose. So I made a commitment and I was like, right, okay, I'm going to suss this out. I'm going to find something really cool and really juicy to focus on when I'm doing this money mindset. So as I was thinking about it yesterday, I was going into sort of stadiums. That's where I went first, and I was like, I don't really know stadiums, and I can't visualize it too much. And usually I just see them as like quite busy places, and I couldn't really sort of get a shape of what they would look like. Spoiler alert and side note, I did actually go on stage with E17 when I was a teenager. We were one of those girls there were 4 of us actually that got plucked from the crowd and lifted, this is a very weird tangent, lifted by a bouncer, probably inappropriately, who knows, and hoisted onto the stage to dance. It was incredible. Although I was wearing one of those 90s wraparound skirts, so yeah, that was probably not the most flattering of angles, let's just say. Anyway, so going back to the stadium thing, I knew Sheffield Arena, but I didn't know it intimately. I didn't know it well, and it wasn't something... I guess this is when visualizations really work for me, when I can really see all the pictures in my mind and I can really have a sense of what that's all about. So I was like, no, stadium's not going to work. And then I went to theatres. Now, my favourite theatre in London, and it's a theatre I've played many times, which I feel so privileged to be part of, is Hackney Empire. Now, if you haven't ever been to Hackney Empire, it's an experience like no other. It's one of those beautiful old theatres, but fully restored, so you never feel like a rat's going to run over your feet while you're watching the theatre production. But it's one of those beautiful big theatres. The accents are all like rich reds and golds, and it's 4 circles. So you've got the stalls, and then you've got the royal circle, the upper circle, and then I think you've got the gods at the top. It's about a 1,500 seater, I believe. And when you play that theatre, if you make a joke, you have to, as an actor, feel the weight of what you've just delivered, I guess. And it's all about timing and learning what that feels like, because of the acoustics in that theatre. When you say a joke, you feel it like a wave. So you feel your acoustics, your voice going to the back of the stalls and coming back, and the laughter comes and then it goes up into the circles and around the space. So it's really bizarre and strangely powerful, but it's definitely something that I had to learn. Anyway, I was thinking about Hackney Empire, and I was like, okay, if I was thinking about filling that, and I've played it when it's been sold out, I was like, maybe that's going to work for me as my space. But Hackney Empire, it's on a main road, you know, there isn't much space around it. The actual building inside feels very spacious. But then as soon as you come out, you're onto the main road and there's buses and all the rest of it. Maybe as I'm saying all this, you're like, what? Wow, she's gone to some places. But this is my process and hopefully you'll gain something from it. So it was like, no, Hackney Empire is not the thing. There's still the work to be done. So yesterday I woke up and I was like, I have got a run in me today. I am tired. And I have been in the Wide Awake Club with my little girl. But it was that thing of like, come on, Raby, it's time to move. Put your trainers on, let's go. Because I know ultimately, and this is the thing which is annoying about all this wellness stuff, it does actually make you feel better. Once you have that first 5 minutes of feeling uncomfortable and resentful and like, oh, it's cold and I'm wet and... it actually, once you can shift that first bit, then that's when the endorphins kick in, don't they? So I was on my run and I was just kind of like, I'm open to it. I'm going to see where it is. So I live in North London and I am really enjoying mixing up my runs and going different places. And certainly during this time in lockdown, a lot of the streets are really empty, so I don't feel like I'm one of those annoying runners hogging up the space or, you know, doing anything I shouldn't be doing. Anyway, so I was like, I'm going to run to Primrose Hill today. And I love the view from Primrose Hill. It's gorgeous and you can see Regent's Park, you can see the city. It just doesn't feel like London. It's just bizarre. Anyway, so I was thinking, oh, maybe it's Regent's Park, maybe it's this. But the way that I went to Primrose Hill, I actually went over the heath. So I went down into Highgate, if you can imagine this in terms of a map. So I live the Highgate side of the heath. And I'm not going to tell my address because that's just weird. So I went down into Highgate and across the heath. And there's this bit with the heath, and if you know Hampstead Heath, you might be like, oh yeah, I know the bit you mean, where there's this beautiful, expansive lake. And as soon as you enter the gates of Hampstead Heath, you see the lake, and you suddenly have this sense that you're going into another world. And sometimes, because I've had a bit of momentum going downhill, so you go downhill into the heath, people must have thought like, wow, what is she doing? She's not an Olympian. As soon as the gates, I went through the gates, I subconsciously just and I'm doing it right now. I pulled out my arms to the side and I expanded my chest and I took a deep breath in. And I kind of just let out this like, kind of noise. Again, people must be like, okay, we're just going to move to the side. I'm not really sure what that woman's doing, but there we go. And as soon as I went through the gates, I was like, this is it. This is my space where I need to go to in my visualization. And I suddenly thought, okay, and this is not just about money, do you know? This is about impact. This is about help. This is about value. And I was just thinking, my goodness, I've been so small in just thinking about my little piddly takeaway box on my kitchen floor that had a crack in the lid. And as soon as I thought about Hampstead, I was like, oh yeah, it ticks loads of boxes. And if you look at Hampstead Heath on the map, you will see that it's a really weird, bunky shape. So it goes in, it goes out, there's different bits, there's a Hampstead Heath extension, there's little trails, there's a bit called, I think it's called Vale of Heath, or Heath Vale, or something like that. If you look at it on the map, and it's a little hidden village, in the middle of the heath, and you go down this road and then there's like loads of these gorgeous houses. And I was just thinking, oh yes, not only is this how money comes to me right now, but this is how I want more of it to come to me. And I want it to come in weird twists and turns and in different ways and hills and different textures. And it was just really fascinating. Also, there are so many gorgeous monuments and houses and money in that area. And I was even just looking at the trees of Hampstead Heath and I was like, you guys have been around for a long, long time. You've weathered a lot of storms, but you're standing there proudly. And it was a really muddy day yesterday. Like, yep, here we are. Whatever. You know, don't worry. We're here. We're constant. We're consistent. We are here to do what we said that we were going to do. So I was just thinking about the trees in that way. Also, I was thinking about the amount of culture and talent and people who live around there, people who have changed the world, people who have told different stories, who have flipped things around. So very quickly, about 5 minutes, as I was running across the heath, so I ran down the Highgate side all the way over to the other part of it, and then I sort of did a roundabout way to Primrose Hill. So I did that and I was feeling so pleased with myself, and I was like, yes, because I can visualize Hampstead Heath. I'm like there all the time, you know, I'm there 3 times a week. It's a place that I know. I've spent hours on that heath, and it made me feel really excited and like, yes, this is my thing. Here's where the funniest bit comes in. So I made it to Primrose Hill, just about. I did go down Regent's Park Road, which is a very fancy road near Primrose Hill, and I got a bit distracted by bathrooms, and I was like, you know, because all the shops are closed as well, I could have a really good gawp, and I was like, oh gosh, yes, I think that basin would be for me. Oh yeah, that's brilliant. Oh yeah, that's going to work. And then I had to go, right, come on Raby, get going, let's go. Okay, the final thing that I want to say is when I made it back to the heath, so when I crossed... I'm just recording, be 2 minutes. Okay, and here is the funny bit, and here's the little confirmation that I enjoyed. And whether you believe in the universe or not, but I saw it as a sign. So I was running along and I didn't take the usual route. So I took a little kind of detour and went this way. And thank goodness I did. Because who did I run into? Not actually, but who did I run past, should I say? A man in a cap. And it wasn't just a cap like, I wear a cap. It was like, I'm a celebrity and I don't really want you to see my face kind of cap. And as I looked closer, because again, nobody was really around, I looked at the face of this man and I was like, I know this man. He didn't know me, clearly, but it was Ricky Gervais. And I clocked him and he kind of had eye contact with me as well, and I just carried on running. And I suddenly thought, oh my goodness, this is a man who has changed things. Whether you like him or not, whether you agree with him or not, he is going to be somebody in the culture that you remember. He wrote a sitcom about an office, a story that we thought we all knew or that it had been done before, and he changed British comedy. He changed the way that he did it. Also, another thing that I did last night, who knows how true it is, I googled Ricky Gervais net worth. And you can do the sums for yourself. But this is a man who has made a lot of money. And also, his impact has gone far and wide. It's probably something that's sold all over the world. There is an American version. And it really kind of made me laugh, like, oh, okay, that's what's possible. That could be my situation, it could be your situation, and how can we all contribute to this conversation? So I'm going to leave that with you today. Firstly, think about your container. Again, I don't want to take any credit for Denise's work. I think she's fantastic. So go over and check out her workshop. It's well worth a listen. And have a think about what your ideal container would be. And the final part, and I guess this is something I'm still exploring, is what do I need to do in my habits, mindset, the way I show up, my energy, how I operate in the world. What do I need to do in order to become more Hampstead Heath rather than piddly Tupperware box on the kitchen floor? I hope you found this useful. If you have, do come and check out my free masterclasses on my website, nikkiraby.com/free masterclasses. I know it's a cryptic link, isn't it? Also, if you haven't signed up for Jam and Plan, this is going to be your time to do this thing. No more kind of hoping and praying that it might automatically just happen. It might do, but if you can put some really strong foundations in place right now at the beginning of the year, January, even though other stuff is going on, because this is going to go on for a while, right? You're going to be able to optimize the time that you do have available and still get closer to what it is that you want to be, do, and have. Also, a client actually said to me the other day that Jam and Plan last June was a turning point for her business. So the way that I'm showing up, the way that I'm coming to this call is about that. This is not like, hi guys, let's, maybe think about, let's scribble a few little goals down. This is about me holding that space and going, right, what do we want? I'm holding that Hampstead Heath space for you. I'm not going, hi, I've just got like this piddly little takeaway box. No, we're going Hampstead Heath space, kids. Hampstead Heath kids. Wow, I can't even speak. Right, I'm going to go. Thank you so much for being with me today. Hope you found it useful. Lots of love, and I'll see you soon.